Parents are the ultimate role models for children. Every word, movement, and action has an effect. No other person or outside force has a greater influence on a child than the parent. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this Parents Orientation Program for the year 2023-24. I also welcome Mrs. Phyllis Farias, who agreed to grace this occasion and share her valuable thoughts with us. For where two or three gathered today in my name, there I am with them. Matthew 18:20. With this prayerful note, let us now invoke God's blessings through an invocation dance followed by the scripture readings. Kindly refrain from clapping.
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् शान्ति 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 शान्ति
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 8, verses 1 to 5 and 10. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus saying, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And calling to him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, "Truly, I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise be to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
A reading from the Quran, chapter number 2, verse number 164. Truly, in the creation of the heavens and of the earth, and the succession of day and night, and in the ships the speed through the sea with waters useful to man, and in waters which God sends down from the sky, giving life thereby to the earth after it had been lifeless, and causing all manners of life, living creatures to multiply thereon, and in the change of the winds and the clouds that run their appointed courses between sky and earth. These are messages indeed for people who use their intelligence. Thank you.
He who has let go of hatred, who treats all beings with kindness and compassion, who is always calm and peaceful, unmoved by pain or pleasure, free of the I and mine. Self control, firm and patient, his whole mind focused on me. That is the man or woman I love best, Lord Shri Krishna.
I will come to you in the silence. I will lift you from all your fears. You will hear my voice. I claim you as my choice. Be still and know I am near. I am hope for all who are hopeless. I am eyes for all long to see. In the shadows of the night, I will be your light. Come and rest in me. I am what that leads to all freedom. I am peace the world cannot give. I will come your name, embracing all your pain. Stand up now, walk and live. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me, I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. I love you and you are mine.
Concluding prayer. Gracious Father, we thank you and ask you to be with us. We ask you to bless our students and keep them safe. Lord, we humbly ask you to bless our sisters of St. Joseph's of Tarbes and all the sisters in the school. We pray for the special guests of the day. Bless them always to be your instruments of peace. We seek your blessings on all our faculties, both teaching and non-teaching, and all our parents who have gathered here. May we be your sign of hope and love to the world. Amen.
Now I call Miss Portia Biju, the IUC coordinator, to welcome the gathering and introduce the key speaker for the day.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. Psalms 104. Good morning and a warm welcome to one and all gathered here. On behalf of the principal, Sister Mala Joseph, management, staff of St. Francis Xavier Girls High School, I am extremely honored to welcome our esteemed guest, Mrs. Phyllis Farias. Mrs. Phyllis Farias is an educational management consultant and director of Scholar Consulting Services, which serves comprehensive consultancy to schools. Ma'am has taught in prestigious schools and colleges for over 2 decades and now conducts workshops, training programs, and seminars for principals, teachers, parents, and students. Ma'am is a trained counselor for children with learning difficulties and their dealings with emotional issues. Mrs. Farias also conducts aptitude tests and career counseling. Ma'am is a life member of Indian Society of Training and Development, life member of Indian Society of Applied Behavioral Sciences, Respect for Life India, and the chairperson for Advisory Board, Sheila Kotawala Institute for the Deaf. Ma'am, we are really privileged to have you as a resource person for the day. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. Kindly accept a token of appreciation. May I request the principal, Sister Mala Joseph, to do the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mrs. Phyllis Farias. It is my pleasure to welcome all the PTA representatives, Dr. Ahmad A. Khan, the Vice President, Mrs. Twinkle Joseph Anto, the Secretary, and Mrs. Beena Anthony, the Treasurer. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the parents and well-wishers as we embark on our academic journey 2023-24 together. A UN report said that by 2030, all children should receive an inclusive and equitable quality education and a lifelong learning opportunities. The thread of the growth of the society depends upon the quality of education that is being imparted. No school can succeed in their mission without the cooperation of parents. When one stays focused, optimistic, and confident, the future will be bright. Let's collaborate together to help our children achieve their goals through determination, hard work, and perseverance. Once again, a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Portia. I now request Ms. Twinkle Joseph Anto, the Secretary of the Parents Teacher Association, to present the PTA report for the year 2022-2023.
Greetings to one and all. As a proud member of the Parent Teacher Association Committee for the year 2022-23, I'm delighted to present you all with our report summarizing the incredible efforts and accomplishments of the PTA over the past academic year. The PTA committee members for the year 2022-23 were elected by the management, teachers, and parents on the 27th of July 2022 at 10:15 a.m. in the mini hall. Since then, we have been diligently working on several matters assigned by the management, as we were the connecting fraternity between the management, teachers, and the parents. The elected members used to have a meeting once a month or alternate months to discuss the various issues. Here are a few key highlights. Traffic commotion being the main issue during the school hours, we, the PTA members, under the diligent efforts and strategic coordination, managed and maintained the traffic, resulting in a smoothly flowing system. I thank all the students and parents who cooperated with us throughout the year. Through dedicated efforts, the PTA members successfully tackled the issue of parked vehicles around the school, effectively restoring order and ensuring a safe environment for students. Furthermore, they took proactive measures to remove unwanted vendors from the premises, enhancing the overall security and cleanliness of the school surroundings. While presenting this report, I kindly request all the parents to adhere to the clearly designated signboards indicating pickup zone and drop zone. It is essential for the smooth flow of traffic and the safety of our students that we all collaborate in following these instructions diligently. Your cooperation in this matter will greatly contribute to maintaining an organized and secure environment for everyone involved. The PTA committee members played a pivotal role during the Yuletide event. We actively engaged in various tasks, starting from extending invitations to the esteemed chief guest and inviting participation from other schools. Additionally, arranged entertaining trivia questions for everyone present there for the event, adding an element of joy for the occasion. Furthermore, we performed a group song for the event. During the sports event of preparatory and primary section, we, the PTA members, extended a helping hand to the teachers and students. This event not only fostered sportive appreciation, promoted inclusivity and understanding, but also helped to ensure discipline and character development among our students. As we reflect on the achievements highlighted on this report, we are filled with hope for the future. With the continued support and active involvement of us, the PTA members, let us forge ahead on this journey of educational excellence and collect achievement. Those parents who are interested to be a part of the PTA committee for this academic year 2023-24 can give their names to the ward's respective class teachers. And with that, I, Twinkle Joseph Anto, will now sign off for the time being until we meet again. I wish each and every one of you a blessed and fulfilling day ahead. Take care and farewell.
Thank you, Ms. Twinkle. I call upon the ISC and ICC Games captain, Bhavana Biju, Anita F. Francis, and Bhuvana Saria P. to present their sports report for the year 2022-23.
A great way for a school to support the overall development of their students is by providing an atmosphere where the child grows both mentally and physically. SFX provides an atmosphere which supports sports along with academics.
While academics provides us knowledge, sports teaches us the invaluable traits of leadership, teamwork, hard work, determination, stress management, acceptance of success and failure in an unfazed manner.
The vision of a champion is someone who's bent over, drenched in sweat, and at the point of exhaustion when no one else is watching.
Success is where preparations and opportunities meet. The academic year 2022 to 2023 had in store a lot of lessons to be learned. Every athlete, in fact, is a masterpiece who carved her success through tremendous hard work.
Two students of SFX participated in the 18th national level Inter-District Junior Athletic Championship Nijam 23 held at Pataliputra Sports Complex, Patna Bihar in the month of Feb.
In this event, considered the biggest meet in the world with over 5,600 athletes taking part, Bhuwana Sarya P bagged the gold medal in the hexathlon event with 3,704 points.
The hexathlon event included 60 meter, 800 meter, long jump, shot put, javelin and high jump.
Not just that, she also created a new national record with 3,704 points, wiping off the previous national record with a whopping difference of 614 points.
Simultaneously, another student, Ishita Neoma Roach, bagged the 7th place in high jump, adding another feather to her cap.
In the under 18 state level junior athletic meet held at the Kantirwa Stadium, Bhuwana Sarya P secured the gold medal in the heptathlon event and was selected for the 18th National Youth Junior Athletics Championship that was held at Udupi.
The year started off with various inter-school competitions in which our school participated in the following categories.
There was a healthy competition between the houses aiming to achieve the overall championship.
With zeal and enthusiasm, in a sportive manner, the Senior Annual Athletic Sports Meet was held on June 2022. St. Xavier House secured the first spot, followed by St. Joseph House, St. Catherine House, and St. Teresa House.
St. Catherine House bagged the first place in basketball with Abhi Gehlot awarded as the best player, and St. Xavier House bagged the first place in throwball with Rana Nagis awarded as the best player.
Badminton singles and doubles were bagged by the Josephites. Ahana Kiran from St. Teresa House was awarded as the best player.
Hence, a great experience emerged out of the Grand Annual Athletic Sports Meet.
As we move on to the state level achievements of our school, in August, our school participated in the state level meet conducted by the Karnataka ICSE Schools Association, in which our athletes participated and won various medals in the following categories. In the under 19 category, Ishita Neoma Roach, Anita F. Francis, Janice Sebastian, and Harshita GM secured the gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay.
And the list, it's endless. Would you like to continue?
Of course, Abhi Gehlot secured the gold and Rifa Fuzel secured the silver in javelin throw.
Hafsa Khan secured the gold and Rifa Fusail secured the silver in hammer throw.
Adira Lakshmi Sai secured the silver in long jump. She also bagged the gold in 400 hurdles and 80 meter hurdles.
Ishita Neoma Roach bagged the gold in both 100 meter hurdles and high jump.
Shamli S won the bronze medal in the 3 kilometers walking race.
What about the under 17 category?
Oh yes, how can I forget about that? In the under 17 category, our school participated and Ishita Neoma Roach bagged the silver medal in the high jump. And Nihira and Matthew also bagged the gold medal in the triple jump and high jump.
Isha Elizabeth Ranjit secured the gold in both 800 meter and 400 meter relay and silver in 100 meter hurdles.
Janice Rosario bagged the silver medal in long jump. She also bagged the gold medal in the 400 meter relay.
Bhuwana Sarya P secured the gold medals in 200 meters run, 100 meters relay, and 4x400 meters relay. She also bagged the bronze medal in long jump.
Tiara Alice Pinto secured the silver in 100 meter and Maya Muthu won the gold in the 400 meter hurdles.
I think we are forgetting about the under 14 category.
Of course not. In the under 14 category, Enid Montero secured the silver in discus throw and Maria Steffi C secured the silver in 80 meter hurdles.
Our school won the overall team championship trophy for both the under 16 and the under 19 category.
Our budding athlete Bhuwana Sarya P was awarded the Best Athlete Award. In the Kisa state level swimming competition held at Baswangudi, Rachita Rinalini ji secured the gold medal in the 200 meter event.
I feel extremely proud to share with you all that in the state level Kisa throwball tournament conducted at St. Dominic's School, Attibele, our school participated, and in the under 19 category, they bagged the second position. Many of our players were selected for the nationals, which was held at Pune.
I think they deserve a big round of applause. A good archer is not known by his arrows, but by his aim. Thomas Fuller. Our school was given the privilege of hosting the state-level Kisa archery competition. Our archery team, consisting of Sarah Rose, Cheryl G. Neto, Akshaya Vinayaka,
Angela Margaret Pereira, Ashreya M., Ella Goes, and Karina A. Saldana were selected for nationals held at Lucknow.
Our school, as we move on to the national achievements, our school participated in the national level CISCE competition held at Pune, in which our athletes, Ishita Neoma Roach, bagged the silver medal in high jump. She also bagged the gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay.
Isha Elizabeth Ranjit secured silver medals in both 400-meter hurdles and 4x400 meters relay. Bhuwana Saryapi also secured silver medals in both 4x100 and 4x400 meters relay.
Ishita Neoma Roach and Isha Elizabeth Ranjit were both selected for the School Game Federation of India.
In the national level CISC throwball tournament held at Pune, our students Avi Gehlot,
Saida Xavier,
Rana Nargis,
Bhuwana Saryapi,
and Ishita Neoma Roach secured the silver in the under 19 category.
Sheetal and Cressida V secured the silver in the under 14 category.
Bhuwana Saryapi, Sheetal and Ishita Neoma Roche were selected for the School Games Federation of India.
A special mention to Karina A. Saldana, who scored the highest score of 795 points in the Archery Nationals held at Lucknow 2022. She also bagged the silver and bronze medal in the Dasra Games Chief Minister Cup 2022 Recurve Archery Women. Please put your hands together for her.
In the Karnataka State Junior Athletics Championship held at the Kantirva Stadium, Bhuwana Saryapi secured the gold medal in the hexathlon event and was selected for nationals known as the 33rd South Zone Junior Athletics Championship that was held at Guntur.
Our school participated in the Frank Anthony Public School Inter-School Throwball Tournament, in which our under 14 category bagged the gold and won the rolling trophy.
Our school participated in various inter-school competitions conducted by the following schools:
Frank Anthony Public School,
Bishop Cotton's Girls High School,
Sophia's High School,
St. German's Academy,
St. John's High School,
St. Joseph's Convent Girls High School,
and St. Charles High School.
and our athletes from the ISC section, Charumati Ilango, Adirai Lakshmi Sai, Bhavana Biju, Pratana GM, Rana Nergis, participated and bagged the bronze in the 400 meter relay.
Our ICSE relay team consisting of Isha Elizabeth Ranjit, Nihira and Matthew, Janice Rosario, Bhuwana Saryapi, Ishita Neoma Roche,
Anita F. Francis, Maya Muthu, Tiara Alice Pinto, Harshita GM bagged the gold medal in the 400 meter relay.
In the middle school category, Pearl Andrea, Lima Shirley, Leanne Debbie, Maria Steffi, Rachel Roland,
Alice Andrea, Ansta Debbie, Himanya Naveen, Palak Edwards, Vedashri S. and Karen Joshita participated and bagged the gold medal in the 400 meter relay.
Our relay team from the primary section consisting of Karen Joyce, Neha N, Isabella Tamara, Alice S, Donna Daniel,
Ikra Fatima, Sarah Siddiq, Janet J. Joy participated and bagged the gold in the 400 meter relay.
How can we forget about our little athletes from the kindergarten? Stacy Iris Rodriguez, Amelia Sharon, Emily R. and Sarah Aman participated and bagged the gold medal in the 450 meter relay. Stacy Iris Rodriguez also bagged the gold medal in the 75 meter run.
Champions keep playing until they get it right. On 31st October, Gurlin Kaur K participated in the Sat Sports Open ITA tennis tournament and bagged the gold in both singles and doubles.
Kenbukai Shitoru Karate School of India conducted an event held at Chennai, Tamil Nadu, in which both the sisters of our school, Janice Sanjay from Standard 10 and Jonna Sanjay from Standard 5, participated and bagged the gold medal in both Kumite and Kata.
In the Star Track athletic meet held at Kantirwa Stadium, our school participated and won various individual medals. In the under 16 category, Janice Rosario bagged the gold in the 4 into 100-meter relay and silver in long jump.
Bhuvanasarya P secured gold medals in the 400 meters run, long jump, short put, and 4 into 100 meters relay.
Tiara Alice Pinto bagged the silver medal in the 200-meter run. She also bagged the gold medal in the 4 into 100-meter relay.
Ishita Neoma Roach bagged the gold in the 4 into 100-meter relay.
In the under 14 category, Pearl Andrea J, Lima Shirley, Alice Andrea, Rachel Rowland secured the gold medal in the 4 into 100-meter relay.
Our blooming athlete Bhuvanasarya P was awarded the Best Athlete Award, and our school won the overall team championship trophy in both the under 19 and under 16 category.
Our principal, Sister Mala Joseph, is the source of unwavering support and encouragement, motivating student athletes to pursue their passion, develop their skills, and embrace the value of teamwork and discipline, instilling in them the belief that with hard work and dedication, anything is possible. We are truly grateful to you, Sister.
A coach is someone that sees beyond your limits and guides you to greatness. We are blessed enough to have such great coaches at SFX. Mr. Maleshi S. Zanavade, our sports director, Mrs. Caroline Singh, and Mr. Subhash. Your tremendous effort in taming our Xavierites to greater heights is truly appreciated.
We are truly proud that our young Xavierites are living up to the school motto, faith and courage. We pray that we will always abide in us all that the Xavierite family has instilled in us for our progress and prosperity and for the betterment of the nation. Thus, I would like to conclude the annual sports report of the year 2022 to 2023 with a quote by Michael Phelps. You can't put a limit on anything. The more you dream, the farther you get. Thank you.
Thank you, captains, for delivering a wonderful report. I now call upon Ms. Phyllis Farias to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, Sister Muller. Thank you for inviting me to take this session for parents. I don't refuse an opportunity to talk to parents. Somehow they do need help and guidance. So I'm very happy to be here today. The PTA, I think you all are part of this invitation, so thank you very much. And my dear parents, I think before I really start what I want to say with you, I think those 3 girls who did that presentation, they really need a big applause. I don't know where they are. I think they are not only good in sports, they are great orators and they have a tremendous memory as well. I don't know how they could remember all those names, right? It was really fantastic. Thank you to the 3 of you, okay? I'd like to start with one of my favorite stories. This is the story of the chicken and the eagle. A farmer had a very beautiful farm, lush green crops, and he had lots of different farm animals on his farm. One day, he was taking a walk along his farm and he found a bird's egg. He didn't know which bird's egg it was. Nevertheless, he picked it up and brought it and kept it with the hen's eggs. After 21 days, the eggs hatched. And along with these chickens, there was this one little bird which looked very different, but the hen didn't know the difference. So it taught it to cluck like a chicken. It taught it to scratch in the earth for its food. So, for all purposes, this little bird was growing up to be a chicken. One day, a friend of the farmer, a traveler, decided, he was passing by, so decided to spend a few days at the farm. He settled in and went on a walk. And then he found this brood of chickens. And he looked carefully and he said, "That is not a chicken. What is it doing with the chickens?" So he went to the farmer and said, "What is that bird doing with the chickens?" He said, "I think it is an eagle." The farmer said, "It's growing up nicely. So what difference does it make? And in any case, I have no time." Is that familiar, parents? I have no time. I'm very seriously asking you to consider that. Yeah, he said, "I have no time." But the traveler decided to do something. So he picked up the little the little bird. He went up to a little hillock. He kept the bird on his arm and he said, "Now, little bird, you're not a chicken, you're an eagle. So flap your wings and fly." So the bird did that. It flapped its wings. It went up a little distance, lost confidence, came back and settled on the traveler's arm. He tried the second day and the third day too, and the fourth day probably. And each day the bird flew a little higher. On the fifth day, he said, "I need to change the environment because this bird is so familiar with this and thinks it is still a chicken." So he went to a little higher place and he said, "Now, little bird, today is the last day I can be here. I have to move on. So why don't you keep your eyes on the sun and flap your wings harder and harder till you are soaring in the sky?" And that's what the eagle did. He kept his eyes on the sun and he flapped his wings harder and harder till he soared high up in the sky. So my question to you parents just now is, what are some of the messages you got from this story? You can just raise your hand. There are mics around also which will come. If you can just raise your hand and we'll get some answers. What message did you get from this story? No one? Yes, ma'am. There. Sir, there. Yeah.
Confidence.
Yes. So you're saying the eagle developed the confidence. All right. Nice. Anyone else? Let me ask a further question. Okay, here. Let me ask a further question. What actually helped the eagle to develop confidence?
The traveler gave the time for the eagle to develop. So the time is what, the training or
Right.
the motivation, what it
Right.
was given by the traveler to the eagle.
Right. So we have three words you've used. The time, right? I think the eagle needed that time. He also did a type of training and he also motivated the eagle. Right. Ma'am, I'll just go back to you and you said, what did you say, ma'am? The confidence. But what helped the eagle to develop the confidence? What
Yes.
or who?
Ma'am, I think it is so many other things also. Here it's an opportunity where he made him understand that you are not for this, you are for something else.
Right. So,
Right?
yeah.
So you are supposed to do what you are. It's not just being there. It's a time, focus, determination, appreciating, and an opportunity given to him to develop.
Right.
That,
So
that
you
was
were,
very
yeah,
important.
so you're not just
Yes.
meant to be here
Yeah.
scratching in the earth
Yes,
and
yes.
clucking like a chicken. There's something
Yes.
more that you can
Yes.
do.
Yeah, you are for something else.
Yeah, something
and
else.
that is important to analyze what you are good in.
Right.
So
So,
that was very important
so
there.
to help the eagle develop its purpose in life.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
ma'am.
its
That
purpose
was
in
one
life.
thing.
Right.
Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
But was there anything wrong with the chickens? Was there anything wrong with the chickens? We should not look down on those chickens, okay? Yeah, let's not look down on those chickens because they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, right? And doing it to the best of their ability. The hen was also doing what she had to do to the best of her ability. It's just that this bird was different and needed a different type of motivation and purpose. Yes, someone there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it came out with the real potential. Yes, sir.
I would probably say that the farmer was able to identify the talent
Yes.
in the midst of the chickens. So it's basically in terms of identifying one's talent and fostering.
Are you talking about the farmer or the traveler, sir?
I'm talking about the traveler.
The traveler.
Yeah,
The traveler was able to identify the potential of the bird.
bird.
Right, very nice. Yeah. So actually we can go on for the next hour just talking about this story and the message it gives. All right. But I would like to just talk about here and ask you that you need to be the traveler in your child's life. Right? The farmer did his job. The farmer did his job. He could have left the egg there, but he picked it up and brought it and kept it with the hen's eggs. So in a way, he has also given life to that egg. It could have been eaten by a snake or anything else, but he gave life. So we can look at that as biological life that the farmer gave. But I think as parents, we need to go beyond that. So we need to consider how you will be a traveler in your child's life, motivating and supporting your child to fulfill their purpose in life, whatever that purpose is, which we will soon talk about. But first, if you look at the topic, when sister asked for a topic, my topic was growing in relationship with your tween and your teenager. Because we have children now, you all are parents of children of 5th standard, right up to the 12th standard. So it covers a large range. So let's look at this term tweens first, all right? The term tweens was first created by the marketing industry to describe those children who fell between childhood and adolescence. Because they felt, the marketing industry or the marketing team felt that this was a very crucial age who actually determine a lot of pressure that they can put on parents to buy certain things. And so they created, along with psychologists, a new word, the tweens, who are not quite children and yet not quite teenagers or adolescents. Now, the new name to describe the 10 to 12-year-old is very significant, right? And what was once expected of teenagers is now seen in the tweens. Am I correct, parents? What was expected of teenagers, the behavior, the growth, the development that was expected of teenagers, which we are talking about 12 onwards, is now actually seen in tweens. So somehow I think we adults have hurried our children up into adolescence. And therefore this new term had to be coined. Now, what are some of the significant changes that are taking place in the tweens? They are exposed to intense peer pressure. If you notice these kids, their peer pressure, the groupism is really very strong in the 10 to 12-year-olds, and it continues into the teenagers. They want to go to places on their own. Do they not? Do they talk about sleepovers? Yes, parents? Do your children talk about sleepovers? And do you send them for sleepovers? Yes or no? You can talk to me. No? I'm sure there are some. I just heard a couple of no's. I think sleepovers can be dangerous. And we don't know what really is happening during those sleepovers. You know, children will say, you know the parents, you know where I'm going, you know the parents. But parents have to sleep as well, isn't it? Yes or no? They have to sleep as well. And when they are asleep, we don't know what these kids are up to. And I'm talking about the tweens and teenagers. They could be into various types of activities which you and I cannot even fathom that they could be into these kind of activities, which we'll touch on a little later. They like to dress up, yes. They become very conscious of themselves and they like to dress up. They like to follow the latest fashions, right? And they watch videos and movies which are not meant for them. It's very hep, isn't it, to say I watched this movie or that, which was not really meant for the 10 to 12-year-old or sometimes even for teenagers. They're beginning to have attractions towards the opposite sex, and maybe sometimes they feel a certain attraction to their own sex. Nothing wrong with that. It happens in the first stage, but gradually they have to give that time so that the attractions move towards the opposite sex. The children are on the phone, they are texting, sometimes sexting. Have you heard that word to parents? Sexting? Yes? Be aware of what's happening in your child's life, okay? They are sexting, they are texting sexual messages, they are flirting, and they could do various other things. Now, these are wannabe teenagers. They are pretending to be actually teenagers. And so they expect treatment to mark their growing sense of confidence and independence. It is important to get this stage right. In fact, I would feel now more than the teenagers, it's very important to get this stage of tweens right before they actually get into the rocky times of their teenage years. Now, after this, parents, I will be talking about the tweens and teenagers as one. I'm not going to separate them because there's not much difference between the tweens and the teenagers. They've almost become the same. Now, these children, all of them, from the 10-year-olds onwards, they're under many pressures. And they're also faced with many contradictions in their lives. They have to respond to a growing array of both external and internal pressures. Now let's look at first what are some of these external pressures that children are going through. First of all, they are going through pressures from the academics. Okay? Far more is expected of these children than earlier when you were children or when I was one. Far more is expected. We are expecting high percentages. I mean, way out to percentages. And to a certain extent, I think our boards are responsible for that in terms of giving children even 100% in, say, languages or even social studies, when earlier it was not possible. And so it puts pressure on the parents, teachers, and therefore the pressure on the children to get those centums, to get that high percentage. They're also faced with things like choice of subjects, right? What subjects should we take? I think by 9th standard, they do have to select certain subjects if they're not going the normal way of taking maths and science and the other subjects. They're also faced with tremendous competition. They are in a world which they believe to be competitive. Competition amongst themselves, sometimes they create their own competition, all right? If we looked at the entire sports report, was it competitive? Was there competition in that? Yes, parents, I'm asking you a very serious question. They've gone and participated in various competitions, and so we believe that it is competitive. I beg to disagree. There is no competition, either in academics or in sports or any other field, there is no competition. It is we who create that competition. But actually, what the child should be doing is going and doing their best. When a team, take throw ball, when a throw ball team is going to play with another team, what are they going there to do? What are they going there to do? And his parents, answer me, what are they going there to do? Perform to the best of their abilities. Maybe they are performing to win, but not to defeat another team. You get the difference I'm trying to say? They're not going there to defeat another team. They're going there to win and to do their best. And even if they don't win, it doesn't matter because they did their best. That is the focus. They did their best. I think that's what we need to aim at. But what do we do when a child comes home with their report card? And you look at the report card. Which are the marks you will look at first? Yes? Okay, that's another story. You look at the maths and science. All right. But otherwise, which marks do you look at? The lower ones or the higher ones? Which ones? All right. So we'll possibly look at the ones they've got the lowest. All right. And then maybe we have a frown and you didn't study, you didn't work hard, and that's why you got these marks. And then maybe you look at the highest marks for your child or whatever. Your child may have got a 94, 95. But your next question will be, who got higher than you? So who's creating the competition? It is the parents and the whole environment. I don't blame you also, parents. I don't blame you. I'm just asking you to look at a situation of what this does to our children. What does it do? Help your child to compete with themselves, not with others. They need to compete with themselves. Suppose child A and child B, C, D are running a race. And we are saying, or the child is saying, I have to beat child B, say. When they're running this race, where will their eyes be when they're running the race? They should be on the finish line. But if they're competing with B or C or D, where will their eyes be? It will be on them. And what will happen to their speed? It will slow down. But instead, if we say, compete with yourself, you do your best, then the child's eyes are going to be on the finish line. And this holds good for anything, whether it's academics, whether it's sports, see that beautiful dance that happened on the stage. Such a beautiful dance. And I think those children, did you see even for a moment an artificial smile on their face? Did you see that? No, they enjoyed every moment of what they were doing and did it to the best of their abilities. That is what we want from our children, not to compete with each other. So that's the first thing, parents, don't have comparisons. Don't compare your children, all right? Because that puts academic pressure. You know how some children can react? If you keep saying, do well, do with this marks, I'll be happy. You give me marks. I do everything for you. You give me marks. They're not machines to give you marks. They are human children. And some children could resort to unethical ways to get those marks just because you are demanding those marks. All I'm asking from you is marks, and you don't even do that. I work so hard. One parent told me in counseling, I work so hard, ma'am, and see what my son is doing. And he ranted about it. I told him, wait a moment. I think you are working hard because it gives you a kick. It gives you like a drug. You are working hard because you enjoy that challenge. Don't tell me you're working hard for your son. He was so shocked by what I said. He said, "Ma'am, give me 10 minutes. I want to go out and come in." He went out, came in after a few minutes, and he said, "What you said was right." Sometimes we work for the challenge it gives us. Tremendous, great. You must do that. You must feel fulfilled. But don't ever tell your children, "I'm working hard for you." You had them, you had to work hard for them. That is the academic type of pressures. Of course, we have parental pressures of a different kind. Tuitions. Yes, if a child requires a tuition, well and good. But nowadays, it's become a status symbol to say that my child is going for a tuition. In earlier days, we would feel ashamed to say that we were going for a tuition. But now it's a status symbol. Coaching classes from middle school itself. All the Baijus and Allens and all, they're becoming rich, let me tell you. They're becoming rich. That's why Baijus could buy up various other coaching classes as well. Becoming rich on your money, hard-earned money. And why does a child need to go for a coaching class from middle school itself? And let me tell you, parents, unless your children are in the top bracket, those coaching classes are useless. Because they don't cater to children who cannot cope with the speed and the pace with which they are teaching. And those children's self-esteem goes down so badly because they see children around them who can grasp so quickly, who can, get the highest marks in all their tests. And they have tests every Saturday and Sunday. All right? They get the highest marks there. Where am I then? And what happens to my self-esteem? The coaching for IIT start early. The NEET exams. And of course, let's not forget the foreign dream. Everyone wants their children to go abroad. And the tragedy of it is that we have elder parents in emptiness. No one to take care of them, no one to be with them. Not the question of taking care, just someone being around because of our foreign dream for our children. This is also a transition from primary to middle school and middle school to high school. And this brings about social pressures. So we saw academic pressures, parental pressures, and there are social pressures as well. And these social pressures invade their lives. The main pressure is the peer pressure, which is the driver. The peer group puts so much of pressure on other children, consciously or unconsciously. And therefore these children feel, if I have to belong, then I have to do what the group is doing. It could be anything from using foul language. Yesterday, I had a parent in the group. Yesterday, I addressed the parents of the 1st to 4th. This first standard father saying, "Ma'am, I'm so shocked with what my child said to me, that the child was being teased. And how was the child being teased? With a middle finger at class 1. With the middle finger." Now the child doesn't understand, but just knows that the middle finger is something bad. Where has the child picked it up from? We don't know. It could be from anywhere, from older children, from the home, if they're traveling by bus or anyway in their autos, wherever. They could be picking it up. So peer pressure, not just in terms of foul language, but all kinds of other things. Could be drinking. I'm not saying your children are doing so. I'm just giving you a little insight into what could be happening with children. Because alcohol has become a normal thing in most homes. Most homes have alcohol in their homes. And every party or everything, alcohol is served. So it's become like a social status symbol. I'm not against it. But children see that this is what is happening, and so it is acceptable because no boundary lines or no limits have been given to the children. I have known in a school where I was called to talk to these children, 8th standard were actually, one child was taking alcohol from the house, all right, filling up that bottle with a little more water. If he took out so much of alcohol, it was filled with water, and bringing this in a flask so that no one can notice, all right, and distributing it to the friends. I don't know whether girls do this, but I'm just telling you that this is a possibility. We have changing fashions, which come through peer pressure. Very few children are able to say, no, I'm not going to wear this because it doesn't suit me. They wear clothes which are unsuitable for them. I'm not gender biased in any way. If I was talking to a group of parents who had boys as their children, I would say, bring up your sons to respect the opposite sex. At the same time, I'm talking to you, a group of parents who are parents of girls, right? And I think somewhere, I'm not putting the onus on the girls, but somewhere, I think we need to be a little concerned about the appropriateness of what they are wearing. Because, like it or not, boys and men do get attracted to certain parts of a girl's body. That's the way it is, isn't it? That's the way it is. And girls instinctively know that they are the prettier sex and that they can wear or dress or flirt in certain ways to get the attraction. And of course, technology is there, present. I'll talk about that a little later. But we have in these children's, this age group, a lot of pairing taking up. They pair each other up. They go for tuitions, they meet boys there, they will pair up there. Others could be pairing them up. I've had students saying to me, ma'am, I'm not paired up with anyone. Is something wrong with me? When they see the whole environment is, teasing and pairing up children, all right, then they feel something is wrong with them if they are not paired up with someone. There's teasing happening and groupism. I think groupism is extremely cruel. Very, very cruel, where children get into groups and then it happens especially in middle and high school. And they want to talk about something which they feel that girl should not listen to. So they tell today we are talking something secret, we don't want you to be part of this group. So go elsewhere. Whom do they go to? This is my group. All right. So I think we need to know that these things are happening in the lives of our children. And what do we do about this? So we have these external pressures, physical, mental, spiritual. In terms of spiritual, I'm not meaning a religion. I'm talking about their ability to make choices and decisions, which is influenced by the peer group and their social. All these external pressures in these 4 dimensions create internal pressures. So from external pressures, now the pressures move internally, internal pressures. And these internal pressures are self-imposed and may seem very natural. But when an adolescent or a tween hears enough times from others that it is important to have whatever, what do our children want to have? You name some of the things. To have this or that, to have this mobile, an upper end one, Or what else do the girls want to have? Say, parents. No? All right. But there is pressure to have this or to do this. To be accepted, you need to do this. You need to achieve certain things. You need to look a certain way. Then it is understandable that she turns these external pressures into personal objectives or personal targets, particularly to fit in to the group or to fit into the environment. It's very funny with teenagers, isn't it? Funny in the sense that with the adults, they want to be independent. But with their own peer group, they follow the herd mentality. They want to be the same as the others. So in order to fit in, they turn these external pressures into their personal objectives or targets. I will be accepted. I will be loved only if I'm like this. I will be accepted in the group only if I am like this. Now, to add to these pressures, the tweens and the teenagers also experience many contradictions in their lives. On the one hand, we give them more freedom to demand things and to consume material things. And on the other side, we have less freedom to explore, to play. Children are often told, it's time for you to study. Stop playing. When will you study? Because the focus seems to be on academics rather than their all-round development. So, lot more freedom for consumption of things, to have things, but less freedom to explore and to play. This generation, they are the immobile mobile phone generation. Let me repeat that. They are the immobile mobile phone generation. And that is why I was so thrilled with the sports program. But, you know, in all schools, the sports programs are only generally for the ones who are doing well. And the rest are left by the wayside. I remember a long time ago, my son is going to be 50 years old. But when he was in school, he wanted to just play hockey. Just play. I don't want to be in the team. I want to just play. And when I spoke to the coach, he says there's no time for us to allow children to just play. They have to be good to be in the team. So what happens to these children? They become immobile. Lack of activity, lack of sports, lack of any type. And then as the children are reaching 9th and 10th, even the children who are extremely good in these various types of activities, we put their lives on hold. What do I mean by that? This is the time for you to study, to get those high marks. You have to go for this class and that class. So no time to play games now. Stop it. No time to read. You shouldn't be reading now except your textbooks. No time for your music class because you have to concentrate. Your child could be excellent, reaching great levels in music. But stop it because your academics are more important. So we put their lives on hold. And many a time children will tell me, ma'am, I'll go back to it after my 10th. After the 10th, the bigger one is happening, isn't it? The 12th. And by that time, 3-4 years have gone and that all those activities have gone to sleep and it is forgotten. So only the cream maybe in those activities will survive. That is why we are in a country where we hardly do well in various other activities. Because we have put the children's lives on hold. Why did I say they are the mobile phone generation? Because their thumbs and their fingers are doing the walking and the talking. Did you understand what I'm saying? Their thumbs and their fingers are doing the walking and the talking because they are on their mobiles all the time. On the other hand, we ask for more responsibility for doing well at school, but less responsibility when it comes to home chores or personal responsibility. I'll do everything for you. I love you, my child. You only study. I'll polish your shoes. I'll iron your clothes. I think in addition to my voice, crackers had to be added to it. All right, so I was talking about personal responsibilities. And parents go to any extent to make sacrifices for their children because all they want is marks. I think that's not even 1,000 wala, it's a 2,000 or 5,000 wala. All right, we'll go to the last contradiction, which is, consumer choices actually help to highlight the individual identity of the child. Yet fashion and commercializing tempt them to ignore their individuality, their personal identity, and teach them to conform. Now, when the pressures and contradictions mount up, they may stop concentrating. They become more defensive. You tell them anything and they're ready to be defending their point of view, less adjusting, and may also develop a low self-esteem. Just knowing all this, parents, I think can put you in a little stronger position to actually understand your child, to empathize with your child, to support your child. I'm going into a few concerns, or let me say, I will touch on the few dimensions of the child. All our dimensions, but particularly this age group. We'll start with the physical growth and development of these children. Your grade 5, grade 6 children and sometimes grade 7 may actually be reaching puberty. Physically, biologically, they are reaching puberty. And I think it is very, very important as to how you need to prepare your children for puberty, especially menstruation and all the other aspects of what happens once one reaches puberty. I'll just basically talk about menstruation because this is something that will come up especially for your 5th standard. It's happening earlier now. 4th standard children are reaching puberty. I'm talking about girls. It seems, I'm not sure, it seems it is because of the milk that they are drinking, because cows are being fed estrogen, which then is consumed by children, and so they are getting larger doses of estrogen in their body, which is leading to early puberty or early menstruation, right? So I just want to talk to you a little bit about it so that you will know how to prepare your children for these changes that will take place. Now, suppose you want to plant a seed or a sapling. What will you do? What will you do, parents? You sow it. But before you sow it, you're going to prepare the soil, isn't it? You're going to prepare the soil. You can't just sow it. You'll prepare the soil, a little bit of soil and maybe some sand or cocoa peat or whatever. You're preparing that soil. And then you will plant the seed or the sapling. Right? So I tell the children about this. They understand it. They can relate to it. And then I say, we have a little room in our body, a small little room. I ask them to close their fist, and that's the size of this little room in your body. And this little room is called the uterus. And this uterus, from a particular time and age in your life, starts getting ready to welcome a guest. And the guest it's waiting to welcome is actually a baby. Let me tell you, don't have to go into the whole aspect of reproduction and things like that. You just say it's waiting to welcome a baby. Now, what does it do? It makes a very nice, comfortable bed or cushion around its walls. And this, you can show them a diagram. It's good to show them where this is taking place, okay, in the uterus. Now, this bed or cushion is made up of membranes, blood, tissues, and it's waiting for the fertilized egg. Now, your children, they do understand fertilization because they would have done fertilization in a plant, right? So they do understand what is fertilization. So it's waiting for the fertilized egg to embed itself or bury itself into this bed. Now, the fertilized egg doesn't come. And so the uterus gets very upset. I did all this work, but there is no fertilized egg. There's no baby. And so it breaks down and it cries. And that is what is your menstruation. Right? But the uterus is hopeful. This has happened, but it says, I don't know whether it will come the next month. So again, the uterus gets ready. And this will go on month after month till the time much later in your life when maybe there is a fertilized egg. And that's when the menstruation will stop for a short period of time. But you need to talk to your daughters about these matters. The best people to give children sex education are the parents. Schools can arrange for people to talk, but still that one-to-one sex education, if it comes from the parent, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of understanding. I remember my son again, I'm quoting him, all right, when he was that age. One evening he tells both of us, my husband and me, I have something to talk about. Okay, we listen. What is it you want to talk about? We've been listening all along, but we realized he wants to talk something else now. And don't think it will take a short time. Okay, we have all the time to listen to you. All right. And then he says, I like this girl very much. Okay, so let's talk about you liking this girl very much. And we had a conversation on it. All right. But that's how the parents should feel. Don't make, sometimes parents say, how will I deal with this? What will I say? And then invariably we'll say, this is not the time for you to feel like this. This is the time for you to study. But they're already feeling it, isn't it? So how can you stop that feeling? They're already feeling it. So handle it with a lot of love, with a lot of care, understanding, and a one-to-one. And sometimes it's nice if both parents are involved as well, whether you're talking to a daughter or to a son. So they know it's combined talking, and it's not just a mother's job or a father's job to talk to the daughter or the son. Apart from this, there are other changes that take place physically. Actually, they're bombarded by changes in body structure and body proportion. They get worried if they're too fat, if they're too thin, if they get pimples. That's the worst thing they feel, the end of the world. after during the pandemic, I had a couple of mothers, from different place. One mother told me last year my daughter was on the online classes and participated beautifully. This year she is not putting on the video and she's just sitting there. She's not putting on the video. So I said, what changes have taken place? Ma'am, she has pimples, so she doesn't want others to see that she has pimples. So she's putting off the video. The other mother said, my child has put on tremendous weight. No physical activity, you see. And so she didn't want others to see that she's put on weight because she'll be teased. And during the pandemic, parents also used to keep all the dabbas filled with junk food. Anytime you felt hungry, there was food available in the house with all the dabbas filled. They would leave online classes just to eat and munch. And so they put on weight. Right? So these things worry them. There are also spurts of growth. Your daughters, 5th standard, 6th standard, they will grow much taller than the boys. There's a spurt of growth at this time. The boys will start a little later. And it lulls after that. Then again at about the age of 12, 13, there's another spurt of growth. And they will grow till they're about 15 or 16. And generally girls, about 4 or 5 years after menstruation, they grow. After that, they stop in terms of height. So there are new abilities that they are faced with, new challenges, new self-consciousness. Your children will be spending much more time before the mirror, and you will say you are wasting time spending time before the mirror. But they're conscious and they're curious. They may also look at their bodies without their clothes on because they're curious about what the body looks like. And things that can worry them, that one breast is bigger than the other breast. I'm talking to you these things because this is what children come and tell me. Why is one breast bigger than the other breast? It's a normal, natural thing. Or the breasts are too small or too big, and what should I do with it? What should I do? These are issues that trouble children. Boys have their own problems. Food. It could be a possibility that the children could develop eating disorders, especially if they're putting on weight and they're hassled by it and they don't like themselves because they've put on weight. They may go into an eating disorder called anorexia, where they starve themselves. It's unnatural. It is psychological and needs psychological help. So they need nutritious food, and you need to see that your children eat nutritious food. And here I'm talking to the 10th and the 11th and 12th standard parents, if there are any here. These children from school will go for tuitions. They will eat on the run. Do you understand what I'm saying? They will eat on the run, whatever's packed. So they're eating cold food. They're eating maybe stale food. Or they eat junk food. I see a lot of children at Tom's Cafe picking up something and eating things from there. Because they're going for a tuition after that. So where is the time to eat nutritious food? All right? So that needs to be taken care of, that they get proper nutrition in appropriate measures. They don't need to eat lots. They need to eat nutritious food. We've already spoken about exercise, so I won't talk about that. How many hours of sleep do you think your children require? Yeah, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, definitely, even your 12th standard child. Now the issue is, why should they sleep? Or why should you and I sleep? Yes, parents, why should we sleep? One thing is body needs rest. Definitely, the body needs rest. Yes, ma'am? I didn't get that. For the development of the body, in fact, teenagers, when their bodies are growing, right, their legs are getting longer, their limbs are developing, they need to sleep for that to happen, right? But most importantly, parents, What they study gets assimilated and absorbed when they are asleep. Have you heard, and you may have done it yourself, have you heard of children who have said, I've studied the whole night and went blank during the exam? Yes? That's because the brain did not have time to absorb or assimilate what they had studied. Of course, they need to study, and that happens during sleep. So apart from other things, which sleep is so important for us, right? It also is necessary for absorption and assimilation of what they have studied. Please, their brains need to be hydrated. They need to drink enough water. But don't go by these measurements which say you need to drink 8 glasses of water, or you need to drink 2 liters or 3 liters of water per day. That is not true. You need to drink when you're thirsty. You need to see the color of your urine. If the color is a pale yellow, that means enough fluid is going into the body. Why I'm saying this is because sometimes the kidneys are overworked when we drink too much of water. All right, so what is required is necessary. It's nice when the children are studying to keep a bottle of water near them, because studying depletes the fluid in the brain which needs to be rehydrated. Okay, I think I've covered physical changes apart from body proportions. There are curves in a girl's body. All right, boys develop triangular figures, girls develop curvy figures. All right, so there are changes in their body proportion that happen, right? We'll go into their mental development very briefly. Mental development with puberty comes higher levels of thinking. In fact, when people call me up and say they want to bring their child for an aptitude test or career counseling, sometimes they call up in the 8th standard, all right? And I say, no, I will not do it. I want the child to be older. They need to have reached puberty, because when they reach puberty, then cognitively the brain goes to a higher level. Their thinking levels go to a higher level. They're able to reason out, analyze, reflect on certain things. They're also able to think hypothetically. What if it is like this? Why is it not like this? So their thinking goes to a higher level. But the queer tragedy is that when they are younger, we say think. And when they're older, we say stop thinking, just do. Even the examinations are like that. Very often, stop thinking, just do. When they can actually think. Just for a moment, you should think, why do noise levels go up in the home when there are tweens and teenagers? Why do noise levels go up in the home? Yes, ma'am? Yes, because they're not agreeing with what you are saying. They want to put across their point of level. And if you're not listening to what they are saying, then there is an argument. There is a difference. Because very often you say, if they say, why not? Suppose a child says, I want to go for that party today, and you say no. And then the child says, but why not? And you possibly say, but you know your father doesn't like you to go for parties. Now what answer have I given them? Have I given them a value, or have I given them a norm? A norm. We very often talk to our children in terms of norms. We don't give them the value. Why am I saying you cannot go for that party? The norm, if I speak in norms, they will argue back. But if you talk in values, children understand. They're prepared to listen. And they're prepared to follow you. I value you. I'm not sure who's going to be there. I'm not sure what will happen there. Right? So I need to be sure that the place is safe. And so till the time you are able to be able to make the right choices, I would prefer that you do not go to certain places. You need to talk to them in terms of values. Also, how do we answer their questions? They're full of questions. And if we answer them with love and understanding, these children will come back to talk to you. But if you judge them and you snub them, let me tell you, they'll not come back to you. They'll go for answers elsewhere. And that elsewhere may not be the right place. It could be a totally wrong place where they're trying to find answers. I want to add a few study skills for you. Is there a universal best time to study? Is there a universal best time to study? Yes, parents? No, there is no universal best time. That old thing of study in the morning, that's the best time to study. There is no universal best time. It goes by our body clock. Some children are larks. So they like to wake up with the birds and study at that time. But some children are owls. They like to keep up and study because they get their best sleep in the morning hours. So there is really no universal best time to study. Allow them to make those choices. What should be the duration of 1 unit of study? Yes, half an hour, maximum 45 minutes. The latest studies are saying half an hour. And then they need a little break because the brain cannot go on studying. But what do we tell our children? How did you finish so fast? Go back and study some more. So what do they go back and do? They don't study, they waste time. They're playing with their pencil boxes or something or the other, or on their phone or whatever. Right? Now, learning styles are different. Some children learn visually, some children learn by hearing, but please add also the skin, the kinesthetic. If they write and learn the points, they remember better. Okay? And of course, time management. I'm coming to a very important point, and that's their social development. And here we will just divide it into two. One is the intrapersonal relationship, their relationships with themselves. And the interpersonal, their relationships with others. The intrapersonal relationship is their self-esteem. What comes in the way of a good self-esteem? I've already spoken about comparisons. Please keep your expectations realistic of the child. I've already spoken about competing with themselves. I just like to share with you a 3-line poem which has been written by a child somewhere in the US during a retreat where the children were asked to stand before a mirror one by one and look at themselves from their head down to their toes. So they did that one by one before they went to the dormitory to sleep. And one child wrote this 3-line poem, which is written in very American English. The first line said, I am me. What does that mean? I am me. Yes, don't make me into someone else. Accept me. Yes, I am what I am. Accept me the way I am. Guide me, help me, support me, but don't ask me to be anyone else. I am unique. I am me. Before I go to the second line, hands up all the good people in this room. Hands up all the good people in this room. See, there are such few hands up. So, sometimes we think I did this wrong and I did that wrong and I did that wrong. And so we think we are not good. But this child's second line of poetry said, and I am good. I am me and I am good. And in a third line, in very American English, she gave the reason which said, "'Cause God don't make no junk." I'll repeat that. "'Cause God don't make no junk." God has not made any junk, parents. Don't treat them like junk, please. Because they don't get or don't perform the way you want them to perform. Please teach your children to handle failures. They will learn to get up. But if you do not allow them to make failure, to fail, they won't know how to get up. Then later on in life, they won't know how to face those failures. And life is full of failures. Am I right, parents? We all face them. Whether it's health, whether it's financial, whether it's whatever. And unless they're resilient to handle it, they're not going to be able to face it. And this is happening because nowadays we have helicopter parenting. What does a helicopter do? It hovers around. And parents are constantly, at least, it's either no attention or it's over attention, constantly hovering around. Don't do this, constantly nagging them. They get fed up of that. All right? We come to interpersonal relationships, which are their friendships. I've spoken to you a little bit about it, but I want to really talk to you about social media and all these other things. I think most of you will know more than me. But I just want to highlight certain things which maybe parents are not aware of. You will know the technology. You will know how to handle these various things. But what are children doing with this technology? I think that is very important for you to know, right? So let's talk about some of these. One of them is Snapchat. You're aware of Snapchat, no? How long does it last? Just about a day, I think, isn't it? It lasts and then it goes off, right? Snapchat is like. Now, what is it talking? Snap, chat. Snap, pictures, and chatting, all right? Now, I was called to a school recently where children are sharing nude pictures. It was a co-ed school, right? Children were sharing nude pictures with each other. I'm just telling you to be cautious, that's all. I'm not saying your children are doing it. I don't know whether they're doing it. All right? Just to be cautious as to what is happening. Snapchat or even on WhatsApp sometimes. Now, they also sexting. There's sexting happening. And they will delete these messages from their phones. Yes, they will delete it. And they think it's deleted. And don't realize that it's actually saved on cyber. I have had a couple of parents who have told me they have actually gone to the cyber crime department and got a list of the phone calls or other WhatsApp messages that they wanted to know what their child was doing. And it was available. So it is not deleted. There is a lot of cyber bullying happening. And let me tell you, cyber bullying is far worse than face-to-face bullying. It's far worse because there is internet everywhere. Everyone is listening to it or reading it. Everyone is seeing pictures. And there is a screen between them, right? So I think, of course, there's a screen so I can bully this person. I can say what I want. And there is a clear connection between cyberbullying and suicide. Children cannot handle that. Offline, face-to-face bullying, they may handle or they may tell someone, right? But online bullying, they're not able to handle. Social media can also lead to depression, anxiety, stress. There's something known as a social currency. What does that mean? Social currency. How many friends do I have? I have only 50 odd friends. That one has 2,000 friends. How many likes did I get for what I posted? I got only so many likes. Adults are into this. Why do adults constantly post things on Facebook? You go to a restaurant, it's put on Facebook. I don't know why we make our lives so open to everyone. Likes, how many shares? All this can actually lead to some sort of comparison on everyday posts. They posted something, every few minutes they are looking to see how many likes I got. There's pornography that children are into, and various things which is there available on the net. Parents, social media is not good and it is not bad. I'm really saying that. It's not good and it's not bad. It's all about me. It's all about me. And therefore, I think as parents, there have to be some preventive strategies, some coping strategies for children. They're getting addicted to social media. Recognize the problem, please. And if they are unable to get over it, then maybe some counseling will be required. It's an addiction like any other addiction. And please, please, model good social behavior. What do I mean by that? Today, I don't see parents with their mobiles with them. I don't know, I didn't say anything yesterday, but I did see some mobiles. I thought maybe they're taking down some points. But you know, our mobiles have become a part of our hands. Even adults. In a school recently, the management decided that the teachers cannot have their mobiles with them, and they asked them to hand over their mobiles at the beginning of the day, and they could pick it up at the end of the day. Many schools are doing this, but that was done that time, first time in that school. And I was conducting a workshop for the teachers that day in that school. And you could see that there was disturbance. So I had to address the issue. What is happening to you? No, ma'am, our mobiles are there. I'm wondering who has called, who has texted, what message may have come. Teachers were feeling like that. And I'm sure adults also will be feeling, all of you could be feeling like that. I'm going to just touch a little bit on the spiritual dimension. I'm not going to take long. All I'm talking about spiritual dimension is in terms of children making choices and decisions based upon values that they are learning from home and also learning in school. Making the right choices and the right decisions. And this really comes from parenting styles and our discipline styles at home. There are two styles of discipline which are not conducive. One is inconsistent discipline. One, I allow anything today because I'm in a good mood. Tomorrow the same things I'm correcting, I'm shouting, I'm whatever. Child is confused. Or inconsistency between father and mother. Father following one style of discipline, mother following another style of discipline. The children of your age, children's age, will manipulate you. For this I can go to mommy, for this I will go to daddy. And there is not much conversation between couples. So they know that also. The conversation or communication between couples could be, did you book the gas? But really deep communication, to communicate at a couple level, to grow, to love, to understand each other, that's hardly there. And so the children know that. So making the right choices, right? Let me tell you, parents, they will just imitate and follow the values that are followed in the home. You need to be more clear with your values and what values you want your child to grow up with. At this stage, yes, certain rules have to be there in every home. When there are some rules which have to be followed, don't make them too many rules. Few rules which have to be followed. Then there are consequences. Consequences is praise, praising your children for keeping the rules or correcting them if they don't. And when this happens, they learn to make decisions. Okay? Right. I'll just talk about that your 10th, 11th, 12th standard children are making career choices now. All right. Talk to them. Observe your children. Know your children right from the young, from class 1 itself or earlier. We should observe your children. Know what they like and what they enjoy. And there are plenty of career options. It's not just engineering and medicine. There are so many opportunities these days. I just want to share this. I shared it yesterday, but I'd like to share it with you. Because sometimes our expectations of our children are not the right ones in terms of a career choice. I had this girl, 12, she's finished her PUC, brought to me for career counseling. I explained the whole test to her. I found she was not understanding. So I said, I'll re-explain if you tell me what part you did. No, ma'am, I understood. I went in between and found she had messed up the whole thing, one test into the other. So I re-explained, made her redo. And then I spoke to the mother. And the mother said that this child has been having problems of learning disability. She had dyslexia. And in the 4th standard, they got her tested, which showed that she had dyslexia. And her IQ also was on a borderline of about 90, 80 something. But the mother, both parents were in IT. Mother gave up her job, which I thought was a tremendous sacrifice that she made. And why did she give up her job? So that she'd spend the whole day preparing what the child will need to learn when she comes home. And so these parents drilled her and drilled her and drilled her all these years to the extent that in the 10th standard ICSE, she got 89%. That's possible in ICSE now. In her PUC, again, they made her take science and drilled her. And she got 83%. And they were hoping that she will take up IT. She will go into computer engineering, IT. Mother told me when I spoke to her, and she said, ma'am, she cannot take more than one instruction at a time. So I didn't know that, so I explained the whole test. But if I had explained one test at a time, maybe she would have coped. But I'm looking at the parents and their expectations of the child that she can do IT. I said, no way can I put it down in the report. Father was trying, no, IT is possible these days. Even a job, she'll have someone to hold her hand. It's possible. I said, take my report, put it into the waste paper basket, but I will not write it down. When the child, I generally do this. I meet the child first in counseling, then I meet the parents separately, and then I meet all three together. When she came in, her first question to me, ma'am, did my parents cry? I said, why will they cry? Because I cannot do what they want me to do. Think about it, parents. Just final few points in emotional development. Non-judgmental guidance, please. I have been intervening that throughout. Self-reliance. They must do what they should do, what they have to do. Please don't outsource their projects. It should be their work. They learn through the projects. Don't do it for them. Guide them, support them, help them, but don't do it for them. Keep your praise genuine. Don't give false praise. We often do that because we're learning from the West these days. Everything is good job. And if we say good job, it is motivating them. No. These children are old enough to understand that you are being false and fake. Please do not bribe your children to do what they have to do. They have to do what they have to do. You can reward them, but please do not bribe them. And please keep your communication, lines of communication open with your children. I think that is the most important thing that you need to do, to keep your lines of communication open with your children. You should be their first stop to come and talk about anything. You should be their first stop. Not the ex-boyfriend or that person or that person. They may go to the teacher, they may go to the principal, they may go to the counselor. But the child should feel confident in you that I can talk to my parents. Now, in communication, it's very, very important that we are listening with our whole body to the whole body of the child. So I'd like you parents to do one small activity. Just raise your hands like this, please. All right. Now bring these two fingers together. Right? Now place these two fingers on your chin. Now if you look around, most of you have placed it on your cheek when I said chin, right? Yeah. So which is stronger, parents, the visual image or the audio image? The visual, right? So if your child is saying something to you, is telling you something that is bothering them, stop whatever you are doing. These days we have enough fast food to even get food from outside, but nothing is as important as that child. Nothing. So it's very important that you listen. Sometimes we do selective listening. We listen only to some part of it. My child is telling me this, so this child is at fault. I will go and complain about this child, but I'm not listening to the whole story. I selectively listen. I do word listening. I listen only to the words. I don't listen to the tone of voice or to the body language. You know, parents, in communication, only 7%, at the end of this session, when you go out, you'll remember only 7% of what I said. You'll remember a little more because from my tone of voice, that's another 43%. And another 50% is from body language. So communication is not just about listening to words. We also very often do pretend listening. We pretend to be listening. But I'm looking at my phone quietly. Or I'm reading the newspaper. And we pretend to listen. What our children want from us is to really listen to them. And communication is two-way. You need to talk, they need to talk. It's a conversation. I'll stop there, parents, and give you a little time to answer. I think we started late, and so we're finishing a little late. But I know lunch, you must be wanting to go home and prepare lunch or have lunch. So little time to, few questions, sister? Yeah? I would just say, okay, yeah, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Phyllis, for stressing on the important topics affecting children today. We now have an interactive session with the parents, strictly regarding to the topics covered by the speaker. Parents, please ensure to ask your queries strictly relating to today's session. Further queries or suggestions can be written and dropped in the suggestion box placed outside the auditorium.
You can raise your hand, please, and the mic will come to you. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the session. Ma'am, you have been emphasizing so much on the child. It was such a good session. You have told about how to physical development. You were talking about spiritual development. You were talking about all kind of, developments of an individual child. Very good and appreciative session. Ma'am, I would like to take a few tips for the children, those are below average. They use so much of time, they study and everything. The results are still very low. What could you give me one suggestion on that?
Yeah.
How could we emphasize on these kind of children? Those are below average, but having a lot of motivation skills, parents are supporting them, the time is given, hygiene is maintained, food is given, everything.
Right. Okay. So you've asked an important question. I hope I was not talking only about the bright children. All right. We have all kinds of children. All right. And so when you're talking about a child who's below average, that word itself I do not like. All right. When we say, unfortunately, we tend to use that. Okay. I would say one thing, ma'am, please look up a poem which is called The Average Child. Okay. Look up that poem, The Average Child, by Mike Buscemi. Read it. All of you can read it. All right? Because we don't tend to like average children. Right. Now, I would say, first of all, we need to diagnose why the child is finding it difficult to do better. All right? To do better. It needs to be diagnosed. Try to understand. There could be various issues. One could be that the child's reading skills are not good enough. All right. What do I mean by reading skills? It is not just the recognition, but the comprehension. Is my child able to comprehend what she is reading? All right. And that could be a main reason why the child is not able to cope, that the child is not comprehending. Right. Now, for this, there are various things involved in this, ma'am, in reading comprehension. One is the child doing word reading one word at a time. That means the child is not getting a whole sentence at a time. All right. So it's very jerky type of reading. Right. The other thing is that the child is just, it's called barking at words, just barking at the words, but not understanding the words. The child is not reading at the right speed, right? And the child is not taking note of the punctuation. If I don't take note of the punctuation, it affects my comprehension. So one could be their reading abilities, all right? The other is my child able to write what they have learned? They may not be able to write what they have learned. They may know a by-heart answer. That's different. But if I just have a few words, can I then build it up into an answer? So the writing skills, I'm talking about not handwriting, but the ability to express what I'm, all right? So there are other issues, like maybe some children could have a learning disability and therefore is not able to cope. There are various kinds of disabilities like dyslexia, which is to do with words, dyscalculia, which is to do with numbers. There is dysgraphia, which is a motor coordination issue. The child's handwriting is not right. So there are those kind of issues as well, right? It's very important that we don't lower the self-esteem of the child, all right? That we help this child diagnose what is wrong, teach the child the way the child learns. We all learn in different ways. If I had time, I would have spoken to you on multiple intelligences. But please look that up as well on the net. It's a theory of multiple intelligences by a psychologist named Howard Gardner. We all have different kinds of intelligence, all right? Right? So we need to teach the way the child learns through the intelligence that the child has. Okay? Look that up now. Yeah. So I've given you two people to look up. One is Mike Buscemi and Howard Gardner. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much for this session. Ma'am, I have two queries. One is, how do we deal with children who make up stories, spin tales, don't come out with the truth? Like maybe because they are scared of something that has happened in school. How do we stop that habit?
All right.
And another thing is, how do we
One at a time, ma'am. One question. Let me answer that. Okay, so you're talking about children who can actually make up stories. We find that a lot these days, okay? That children come home with a made up story. One is that they're scared if they tell the truth, how is the parent going to respond or react? Okay, will my parent get angry, upset, judge me? So that is one issue. But more importantly, I think the child is responding to the type of parent. My parent likes to hear these kind of stories, so I'll feed my child. So see, the child has done something, is not wanting to tell the truth, so make up some story about some other child or some teacher or something and tell it, and knows that when I say this, immediately the parent is going to get angry. I'll come to school now and I'll fight and I'll find out how can that child do this, or how can this teacher do this, or maybe even how the principal can do this, how the principal. So the child knows, but the child is protecting herself, right? So it's very important how you react to your child when your child is telling the truth. Very often you say, you tell the truth, I will not shout at you, I will not scold you, I will not beat you. But they tell the truth and the next thing we are doing is shouting at them and scolding them. So you say, what's the point? I'm not going to tell the truth, right? So it's important to respond in an understanding manner when they're telling you the truth, all right? Understand more about it. I'm not saying don't come to school. Don't escalate it just based upon what your child is saying, because there are always two sides to a story. You need to know the other side as well. But important is to listen with compassion when the child is telling the truth. Okay? Yeah, what's your second question, ma'am?
Ma'am, the introverted children, how do we deal with them? They never come out with anything, no matter what
Yeah.
hard you try.
Yeah, okay. So we are talking about a child who's an extrovert or a child who's an introvert. All right. Now, this is actually something that I think psychology is saying, that a child is introverted or extroverted. It's just that possibly the child is like that. Okay? Is the way. The personality of the child is that the child is comfortable with who they are, all right, and doesn't really need a lot of people around them. It is our need to see that my child interacts, has a lot of friends, or when guests come, talk to the friends. But it could be that the child is comfortable with the way they are. That is one side. The other side is that the child is afraid of being judged. If I say this, will they feel that I'm wrong, I'm bad? So it's better to keep quiet, all right? Because there's the fear of being judged, right? Now you have to help your child to understand that we have various type of people around us. Some may judge you, but you should not bother about them. You should know what you have done and whether it makes you feel good or bad, all right? It doesn't matter what other people think about you.
Namaste. Thank you for the session, ma'am. I've heard that word pressure 4 to 6 times. So pressure is good or bad, ma'am? And if it is good, how to change pressure to mindfulness, right from the household works to academics, sports, and becoming a very good, very best gentleman, ma'am?
Yeah, so you're talking about the word pressure that I used. So when I'm using the word pressure, I'm really talking about the excess pressure. All of us face pressure, and children should handle a certain amount of pressure. But when that pressure crosses a limit for my child, all right, all children are not the same. Some can handle a lot of pressure, but there are some children who are very vulnerable and they can fall through the cracks. Okay, they can fall through the cracks because they don't know how to handle that pressure, because as parents we have handled the pressure for them without allowing them to handle the pressure, or we have put too much expectations. Our expectations in terms of success and our definition of success, all right? What do we understand by how do we define success? Is it getting a good job with a high salary? Is that success? I don't know, all right? So what have I defined it as for them? A little pressure is good for everyone, but I have to take into consideration my child and how much pressure can my child. I can give the child a gentle nudge, but not a harsh push, right?
change it into mindfulness, ma'am.
Yes, mindfulness. I think that's a very beautiful word we use these days. That to be mindful of what is happening. So which needs me to have a general awareness and a knowledge, all right, and certain things which can help me to become mindful, all right. One is observant, to be observant of what is happening around, and maybe certain strategies or techniques to help me to calm down in a situation. Sometimes something as little as counting backwards, all right? Because when we are faced, what is peer pressure? Peer pressure is I'm faced with a certain pressure and instantly I have to respond, all right? Instantly. I don't have time to think about it. I have to respond. But maybe I can gain a little time by something as a simple strategy of counting backwards. I get that little 30 seconds more than I would have. I'm becoming mindful and what I need to say in response. Of course, we have yoga, meditation, all of that, but that's on the longer run. It will take a little time to develop, but you need to allow them to do that, plus what they can do instantaneously.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I think one last question.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session.
Today, all the questions are coming from the front of the room. Yesterday, they all came from the back of the room. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Now, regarding career, we were talking about that, what career they have to choose and how we are going to support. No, for example, my daughter wants to do an MBBS. Okay, now we said this institutions, which are this private institutions, which are taking classes to crack the NEET exam.
I like the word crack, ma'am.
Yeah. So how can we rely on these to develop or to the child to crack this NEET exam? Is it really worth to make them join there?
See, I cannot stand on judgment of these different coaching classes. I really cannot stand. I can judge it only when children are brought to me for counseling, all right? Either because they've broken down under that pressure and they cannot cope with the pressure of the coaching classes, or through my career guidance, I see that maybe, it was far too much for the child to be able to cope with, or maybe it was the right career for the child, all right? Now, when it comes to something like medicine or any other career, parents, you need to look at it holistically, all right? One, the child should be suitable for that. That means the abilities, the aptitudes, the interests, the academic levels should be suitable to cope with that. One is the child. The other is the parent, right? How are you going to be able to cope with the financial stress of that career, right? That is another thing, because if you take medicine, it has become very, very expensive, right? Not just the MBBS, but then further seats are being auctioned. So you have to look at it in the long-term perspective, all right? And you should not feel guilty that you're telling your child, I cannot afford it. You can tell them, you try for a government seat. You try for a seat, or a seat that you can get without my having to pay so much. We will take you all that way. Now, on the other hand, also I would say, parents, don't have only one egg in the basket. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes. I tell people that if I fit you in different ways, I can come up with 2 or 3 options or even 4 options, right? So don't have only one egg in the basket, because that leads to a child really feeling really poor and bad that I couldn't do it. I could not get it. So it's good to have 2, 3 options, okay? Don't even call them backup options. They're not backup. It's just that you're also suitable for this, okay? All right, I think we need to close with that. I just want to say one thing, parents. A lot of what I have spoken to you, in the pandemic, I started writing a blog, all right, because I missed workshops. They're available on Medium, all right, Medium, the app Medium. Just type my name, open Medium, type my name, PHYLLIS FARIAS, all right? You'll get a lot of it right from the beginning. I think now there must be more than 60 blogs there. Okay, I post one every month, all right, so you can have a look at it. Okay, I want to end by reading out this poem to you. It's by Ulrich Schaffer. It says, "You aren't listening. When you say that you are listening, and you really aren't, but just waiting to get your chance to talk again, to pressure me, to see it your way, then I feel cheap, like I'm not a person and too young in your eyes to think for myself. I know that I can't think as well as you, and I don't have the experience of life that you have. I haven't read many important books, haven't talked to as many people as you have. I just haven't been around as long as you. And yet I know what I feel and that it is important to me. Please consider that talking without listening will drive us apart. Will drive us apart. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, dear parents, for the active interactive session. Girl Guides. The school also has Girl Guides where the students build and strengthen their leadership skills. I now call upon Ms. Janakama to elaborate on the Girl Guides.
Good afternoon, everybody. Co-curricular activities improve in the present-day school curriculum. These activities are helpful for normal growth of the individual. It provides an opportunity to utilize the extra energy of the students. These NCC and guides opportunities to the youth of the country for their all-round development with a sense of duty commitment, dedication, discipline, and moral values so that they become leaders and be a good citizens. NCC cadets and guides have a lot of academic intensives. NCC C certificate cadet taken part in Republic Day parade at New Delhi. Scouts and Guides provide self-confidence, self-esteem, and they encourage to take responsibility for their own lives. Scouts and Guides are more important to learn about life skills such as leadership, problem solving, and first aid. Their motto is be prepared. There is a reservation for certain special categories in KCET exam such as NCC, Scouts and Guides, Sports, and NSS. The annual quota for recruitment on Scouts and Guides and NCC has been fixed by the Ministry of Railways, 4% for railway every year. Now, Scouts and Guides quota has increased from 50 seats to 300 seats in CET and NEET. Many children are utilizing this opportunity by getting seats. In our schools, we have all these facilities with the guidance of our principal, Sister Mallar Joseph. Kindly encourage your children to join for NCC and Guides. Thank you, parents.
Thank you, Ms. Janakama. Live a life full of humility, gratitude, intellectual curiosity, and never stop learning. I now request Ms. Janet Combs to deliver the word of thanks.
Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers, motivated students, and enthusiastic parents with high expectations. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on the significant Parents Orientation Program. Before I begin, I would like to thank God Almighty for being with each one of us throughout the orientation program and for making it a resounding success. First and foremost, on behalf of the principal, Sister Mallar Joseph, the management and staff of St. Francis Xavier Girls High School, I take this opportunity to thank the honorable guest speaker, Mrs. Phyllis Farias, who spared her precious time from her busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, ma'am, for narrating a motivational story and encouraging the parents to be the traveler in the child's life in order to identify the potential of children and guide them accordingly to the appropriate paths in their lives so that they can progress and thrive well. Your enlightening words that there is no competition and that children need to perform to the best of their abilities is indeed an eye-opener. Ma'am's insight on various types of pressure that a child undergoes, be it peer pressure, academic pressure, the pressure of competitive environment, or social pressure, is truly thought-provoking. It really compels us to contemplate that children have now become immobile mobile generation. Ma'am's extremely knowledgeable and highly informative suggestions to our parents will undoubtedly be fruitful and benefiting, conducive to the upcoming endeavors of our parents, as well as in the all-round development and well-being of our students. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank and mention my deepest sense of appreciation to the members of the Parents Teachers Association, especially Dr. Ahmed A. Khan, the Vice President, Mrs. Twinkle Joseph Anto, the Secretary, and Mrs. Beena Anthony, the Treasurer, for the remarkable contribution to the institution. A special note of thanks to Mrs. Twinkle Joseph Anto for presenting an extraordinary PTA report. We owe our special thanks to our principal, Sister Malar Joseph, Sister Louisa Matthias, the manager, Sister Susai Rani Nicholas, in charge of middle school, Sister Gloria Raju, in charge of preparatory section, Sister Jerani, the administrator, and all the sisters of St. Joseph of Tarbes for their enormous support in organizing this program, which would definitely enable the parents to effortlessly bring up their wards with a positive mindset, leading them to success. At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents. Henceforth, I extend my deepest sense of gratitude to all the parents for your willingness and tremendous involvement in molding, nurturing, and constantly guiding our students to the best possible path, making our work easier, for your active participation in today's event, and for your immense cooperation and support extended to the Institute. Thank you, dear parents. A special note of thanks to all the teachers, office staff, and non-teaching staff for being an exceptionally excellent backbone of the Institute, without whose kind cooperation and stupendous commitment, today's event wouldn't have been possible. I also congratulate and extend my hearty thanks to our extremely talented students for their vibrant and exuberant performance. I once again thank everyone for your presence and participation in today's session. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Janet. Our school has organized Uta from Tota, environmental-based stalls which is open for the students and public. Kindly do visit the stalls.